factory and mighty industry employ only their friends and family. They will feature my picture in their advertisement only to give the Afro buyer encouragement. But check their place of business and see. If you see three darky, well, you see plenty. Now 99% of who buying are of Afro origin. But they employing black and chicken. Although it's my money they're banking. We broken down old car and we campaign for you. You say who could buy car, could pay purchase tax too. And while you're talking this foolishness, you're driving wrong in a big black Austin Princess. Unfair, you hear? We ain't getting nowhere. I make you boss. Instead again I lost. Now the bank ain't lending me the money at all. They saying how I have any collateral. Your opponents would get all they want, while your faithful supporters stay on this front. You're straightening out one or two big papi who business fix already. Some of them tender their resignation. You put money like sand in their hand. It have a thing that you say that is absurdity. How you could call a thing like a stove a luxury? I know you're bound to say my mouth hot, but boss, it look like you want to bring back food pots. Very slowly, you're killing me softly. So crude, no food, outright ingratitude.
Yes, indeed, of course. Pleasant good night to all on Century, East, West, North, South, Central, First and Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, so this is, of course, the Thursday edition of the corridor transformation for the year, of course, 2025, because it's the first month of the year, clearly, and therefore it's the first, let's say, Thursday of the, that we, of course, are here bringing our messages to you. But listen to the calypso. Yes, I found it, Sniper, and you may wish to make the analysis that it could relate, even though, of course, it was back in the 60s, but it can relate to the present circumstances of our country. Listen a little more.
I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office.
Since you take over as Prime Minister,
all right, I know that I was a bit tardy with respect, of course, to those on Facebook.
To
so let us start with that.
You will do nothing better.
That is
Rowley
relevant to today.
really have to go.
No. My Sniper. Welcome.
In small factory and mighty industry employ only their friends and family. They will feature my picture in their advertisement only to Afro-buyer encouragement. But check their place of business and see. If you see three darky, well you see plenty. Now 99% of who buying are of Afro origin. But then,
please listen. Welcome to all and sundry. Those on Facebook, welcome.
We broken down old car and we campaign for you. You say who could buy car, could pay purchase tax too. And while you're talking this foolishness, you're driving wrong in a big black Austin Princess. Unfair, you hear? We ain't getting nowhere. I make you boss. Instead again I lost. Now the bank ain't lending me the money at all. They saying how I have any collateral. Your opponents would get all they want, while your faithful supporters stay on this front. You're straightening out one or two big papi who business fix already. Some of them tender their resignation. You put money like sand in their hand. It have a thing that you say that is absurdity. How you could call a thing like a stove a luxury? I know you're bound to say my mouth hot, but boss, it look like you want to bring back cold pot. You're straightening out one or two big papi who business fix already. Some of them tender their resignation. You put money like sand in their hand. It have a thing that you say that is absurdity. How you could call a thing like a stove a luxury? I know you're bound to say my mouth hot, but boss, it look like you want to bring back cold pot. Very slowly, you're killing me softly. So crude, no food, outright ingratitude. We gave you a fighting chance for 18 years, and all we get in return is blood, sweat, and tears. Now everywhere your rivals are share, and under your reign, they pay millionaires. You watch as advantage is being taken on your supporters in the land. We keep supporting and getting nothing, while millions going from hand to hand. Tired, retired old-timers going from job to job. Young, strong teenagers on corners hustling for bob. I do not rap to trap anyone. I just singing a song on what really going on. In the land, we keep supporting and getting nothing, while millions going from hand to hand. Tired, retired old-timers going from job to job. Young, strong teenagers on corners hustling for bob. I do not rap to trap anyone. I just singing a song on what really going on.
not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office.
Since you take over.
Yes, people, of course, I thought we should take in, absorb, inculcate some of the words of Sniper, that a song that was sung, a calypso that was made several decades ago, and clearly smack in the era of Eric Williams, the founding father of the PNM. And of course, in contemporary 21st century Trinidad and Tobago, we can relate to it, or put another way, it can relate to us at this time, because they talk about young men at the corner. We talk about persons having to do 2 and 3 jobs. Yes, he spoke about that. That was decades ago. So the question is, have we advanced? Is it that we continue to live, of course, in a nostalgic atmosphere as far as our politics is concerned, and the delivery by our leaders or who we have elected? How come decades ago a song like that was sung by the mighty Sniper, relating, of course, to the circumstances of his days? The days when Eric Williams was at the helm of the operations and management and decision making in Trinidad and Tobago. Is it that we must now make the nexus between what transpired then, having of course been what I consider to be historically recorded in song, calypso, in this case Sniper, and what is happening today, and why it is that Trinidad and Tobago could not have become the Singapore of the West or the Dubai of the West? Why? Those are critical questions, because that was placed on historical records for all times. So when we look back, is it that we were living in or we have been made to live in an environment where the question of cyclical decadence, poor management of the resources, God-given, corruption, nepotism, why it is we would have had so much over such a long period of time at Trinidad and Tobago, with of course an administration or a party that has been there. Of course, Sniper said then it was 18 years. We know now it's over 40 years. The generations that came up in between there. So 40 years. Almost double when Sniper made that song. It is crucial that we do these introspection and of course these historical examinations. Yes, they are iconic, but iconic here means that we must be able to assess, but at the same time, see these jewels that ought to be part and parcel of our diversification for export. These kinds of music and song ought to be a critical part in earning foreign exchange today. How come it is not? How come the steel pan is not? How come? And soca, of course, is making its way because of the dynamism of the young, up-and-coming, who are prepared to experiment and to, of course, explore opportunities. But the government has a facilitating role that clearly was never forthcoming. was never forthcoming. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
And pleasant good night to the right-thinking citizen of this beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
Based on the information that I was gathering,
yes,
they're having a big General Council meeting on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday, that's right, yes.
That the talk on the ground is from P&M people, eh?
Yeah.
Because I'm mining P&M business right now.
But yes, of course, because it is national business. Once they're in government, if they're out of government, it's a different story. Yes, go ahead.
So I understand that the talk on the ground is they're trying to allow the one to allow, or they're trying the one Dr. Rowley to resign on Saturday. That is the talk on the ground.
Right.
I know how good it is.
I have gotten that as well. So once we get it, it means therefore it is solid. But go ahead, my friend. So you are on solid ground. You're not on shifting sand or slushy ground. Go ahead.
Right. So that's where I get it on the ground. So I tell the person that I would love to see that, because I told him from the beginning that when Dr. Rowley finished with the P&M, it would be no more.
That's right.
Right? Because he don't deal with policies, and he don't go with the rules of anything based on, you could see how the country running. Our election was stolen in 2020. He come in with one in 2015 with a bunch of lies, and then the 2021 was stolen, and I saying it without authority, it was stolen. And we had to keep eyes on him for whatever they're trying to plot to try to see if they can get this one. So I just want to say, I want my political leader and her party, one of the main things I want them to be focusing on is we need leadership. We need a government that care, and to keep pressing that, to bring down this government totally. And just what you said, 39-1. I live in with that. Yes, 39 seats to 1.
Yeah, 39 all.
It could be worse.
Yes, my friend. Thanks very much.
All right, Mr. Lennox. Give a blessed one.
Yes, same to you, my friend. Yes, indeed. All these have been enveloped, packaged in that song. A song decades ago. The man said, 18 years then. The P&M is now in office over 40 years. So almost twice the period for which he referred, or of which he referred. Today represents almost twice that in terms of time. And yet still, we have not progressed. Yet still. So I thank the caller last night, who of course brought that to my attention, and I thought I should do something about it. And when I make a promise, I love to keep it. And when I saw, of course, the content, those words about discrimination, about exploitation of those who support the P&M. That is what they were saying, because there were no other party that got into government except late. And I'm talking about in 1986, when, of course, the P&M was decimated, was destroyed politically. Yes, they were destroyed politically, or put another way, they ought to have been destroyed politically, because look what has happened in terms of resurrection and by the presence of people like Manning and so on. And I've always said that Manning would not have been even in contemplation by the P&M leadership at the time, because he could have hardly made be given a ministerial position. He was always a parliamentary secretary. what we sometimes call a minister in a ministry, but of course playing second fiddle to the substantive minister, and most likely not a cabinet minister. So the likes of Manning could not have been elevated to the leadership of the PNM. What transpired is, of course, what I consider to be the vicissitude of accidental historical events. The vicissitude of accidental historic events. That is to say, that when the PNM was decimated in 1986, Kamaluddin Mohammed gone, Donaldson gone, Chambers gone, Errol Mahabir gone, Desmond Carty gone, and all the other big players at the time, African and Indian, gone. And what remained was just Manning, and he was lucky because Robinson did not want to, of course, call for a recount. That is how he got away in San Fernando East. So in the context of the Laventils, I don't recognize that as him having a serious victory at the time to be in the parliament, beginning with, of course, the 1986 elections. But, so, Donovan McDavidson in Laventille East movement, and of course in Laventille West, it was Maurice Marshall. And I've always said, as I've said before, that the PNM owes a debt of gratitude and special attention to Laventille. But I always blame, and it cannot be a misplaced blame, the leadership of that area could not capitalize and take advantage. I am not and was not a member of the PNM, but I'm certain that if I was so inclined, a deal for Laventille would have been struck on the basis of the historical antecedent where Laventille saved the PNM. 2 seats they had out of the 3. I put it this way. How come those at the party group level, those at the constituency level, could not have influenced the other upper arms, whether it be the General Council or conventions coming out of that? And the point I am making is that Manning could not have become the leader of that party if these players were not summarily caused to make their exit from politics, consequential of the licks that the PNM got in 1986. But fast forward to today, could you imagine a fellow like Rowley, if what I consider to be the authentic leadership were not so devastated in 1986? You seen Rowley? No. Worse yet, Rowley started his political career in the NJAC. And therefore NJAC is associated with, of course, 1970. Rowley said so. I don't care what other people know, but if Rowley says so, I have to accept that, unless, of course, they take him to court and say that, of course, he is misrepresenting. I will not be surprised in terms of his uncanny behavior to misrepresent. But I see no reason to doubt him because, of course, at that time, there was no need for him to lie. You see, in 2015, we see now why he lied. He was so greedy for power. His avarice was unlimited. And therefore, he conjured up and manufactured schemes such as the emails and built, of course, a storm in a teacup in the case of Rishmi. And, of course, the Section 34. All of those were scams. That scam concocted and manufactured to capture the population, particularly those on the sideline. Because remember, in spite of all of that, he was not able to get a victory at the polls, whether in 2015 or 2020, that he could claim to be a landslide. Cannot, because he only got 23 seats of the 41 in 2015, in spite of all of those evil, diabolical, and treasonous conduct. And back in 2020, he was even reduced further. He could have only mustered up 22 seats in spite of all of the maligning and the evil excoriating vitriolic statements made about the UNC and the political leader herself of the UNC, Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Put another way, he was reduced further to 22 seats. And something in the atmosphere, albeit late in the term, but nonetheless, he was reduced further by one with the death of course, the former parliamentary representative, or should I say the deceased representative for Dabadi O'Meara, are talking about, yes, Maurice Julian, the late Maurice Julian. Whether you want to say he's blasted blight, but of course, all through that period, he claimed success because of the first past the post system of government that we have, of course, inherited and practiced from, of course, the British and, of course, our colonial intrinsic past. That is why first past the post simply mean two persons contesting, 100 voters, one get 49, the next one get 51. Well, the one with the 51 win. Nothing for the one that got such a huge support of 49. First past the post. And there's another concept in that arrangement, is that winner take all. So you notice Rowley don't talk about joining with any other party because they believe that when they win, they go it alone, as he said, and when they win alone, they then dominate, even though they must take the moral and ethical consideration. But they are morally depraved when you only have a slim majority. A slim majority. 3 or 4 of them can't leave the country at the same time if Parliament is to have a session. That's to tell you how slim it is. In the case of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the UNC, I can tell you, in 2010, with 27 seats, they could have 3-4 persons could have been out of the country and they will still have the majority, because in that scenario, the PNM would have had about 12 seats alone. So I am obligated, having regard, of course, to the significance of that particular calypso, the time it was, of course, created or produced under Eric William, and then if that is a snapshot of what was occurring then, then you must ask the question, how come the same thing is occurring today in 21st century Trinidad and Tobago with the same PNM and with a leader that clearly is demonstrating leadership and decision making that is so abysmal that of course he may well have to end up in blue lights and silver bracelets. But let's get to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah. Good night, Mr. Smith and all those on the chat.
Yes.
I want to also from last night.
Yes.
Remember when Williams died? This is something plain off here now, just like that. When Williams died, they still have a chamber. They put chambers.
Yes.
And after that was the 1981 general election.
Yes.
Right. That is when I said that he got 180,000 and in 86 he get.
Yes.
He
I have
get
not yet checked it, but I will be doing so, yes.
Yeah. No. Remember, within that 81 to 86, there was $65 billion and nobody knew where that money went.
Yeah. So there was always this what I consider to be corruption matrix that the PNM has been involved in, because of course we can go back to people like the O'Halloran scam, the Privat scam. Prior to that, of course, you had the gas station scam. You had, of course, the lock joint scam. You had, of course, horses for houses scam, or vice versa, and we can go on and on. So you are quite right, and therefore that party ought to have been dissolved a long time ago in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, and to prevent it from the chaos and quagmire that, of course, and disaster that we are now experiencing. But it's better late than never. The people have now opened up their eyes. Something you cannot do something over and over and expect a different result. Or put another way, people must learn from their history. And the history has shown that the PNM is cursed, it is toxic, it is wicked, and ought not to be any part of the political matrix of Trinidad and Tobago. And we as citizens have a duty to rectify that situation. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. I also wanted to, is in that Tesoro scandal that Gene Miles, that
yes,
scenario
Miles,
they played off in.
Yes.
Gene Miles, is in that corruption thing with O'Halloran and all of them,
Yes, yes.
That was in that time. She did
some streaming and pay the price. That is the Nostro, as Rowley likes to reference. So it's clear that Rowley is the worst of the students of maybe Eric William or the PNM prior to the 1986 elections. It's clear and maybe also a student of people like Maduro, who of course he has witnessed, so that the draconian measures that he would have taken. It is clear that he's a student of Machiavelli, the writer that says that, listen, you give your people a little during the course, and when you're ready for them for election, you open the funnel, so to speak, or the valve, you release the valve, as was done in Tobago and in Trinidad, and of course they expect to get back into office. Of course, the Tobagonians have shown that they are mature, that they are well developed, and that you cannot mama guide them. And in Trinidad, of course, I'm sure will be following suit in the 2025 elections, no doubt. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. So in the 81-86, that is when the recession hit Trinidad, and that is why the people turned and they voted in the NAR.
Yes. Because
we was in a big recession. Because Privat, all of them say, all are we thief. When they start to accuse, they say, all are we thief.
Desmond Carty said that.
Privat
was hiding by that time somewhere in Panama.
Right.
Yeah.
They say, all are we thief, all are we thief. You understand? Eh? And this is what, so the Cosa Nostra didn't start only now, it started a long time.
Yes. It is
And
clear.
it is still
And
unfolding.
from the music that we played earlier, they recorded it, and I mean, as we always say that the Calypsonian, of course, is the, let's say, the pen people of this century who record history and leave it there for posterity, for future generations to benefit. And this is, of course, a typical case where we are benefiting from that writing of Sniper.
Well, look how long he sing. Like you want we go back to the coal pot. What the fella said.
Yeah, coal pot, and of course you heard recently. I mean, a big lawyer. He's supposed to be. I'm talking about Scotland, who of course has said, "Well, listen, he will get a coal potter to roast breadfruit, and he'll ride a bike."
That's it.
You're lucky he didn't say a scooter. You know those ball bearings that you get from the vehicles. You put one in front, one in the back, and you have some kind of contraption to steer it. And Bram, you have a moving let's say contraption that you can push like Flintstones up and down the place. You know, because it is powered by your feet, as if you are running on some kind of skateboard. Yeah.
But last thing I want to say. I watching the analysis this evening, and the amount of crime I see. We in a state of emergency. I don't know. I don't know what is the purpose
this morning
of that.
I read four murders, and of course there are those, the apologists, and those who are let's say deaf to reality. I'm using an oxymoron here, deaf to morality. But the fact of the matter is that they are in a state of disbelief, and they wouldn't admit to the fact that Rowley and they are simply not up to the task, have never been up to the task, but they will continue, of course, to defend something that clearly is indefensible, one, and two, something that traditionally they probably support, but cannot come to grips with understanding that is a time has reached to let go, and of course probably help destroy it before it destroys us. I'm trying to take another call here, so
Okay, go ahead.
Is she on the ways?
Listen off here.
Okay.
Listen off here.
Yes. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Good night.
Yes.
You're right. Deco Martin in the house again.
Yes, man. How are you going?
All right. A lovely night. A lovely day for cricket, as they say.
Yes, man. Yes, we are working. We are working very, very, very assiduously, and of course incisely and smartly. But go ahead.
Yeah. We have an election to win.
That's right.
And we have to put things in perspective and expose them.
Yes.
Expose every single one.
Every single. And everything. We're going back. We're going in between, and we're going forward.
And that small pin must never become a safety pin for Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I don't think he's a safety pin for even himself, because he's a straight pin, small pin.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Listen to me. I was thinking about this. This PNM leadership race started a while now, you know, and there are some data points I've looked at, and I'm going to throw it out for people. Hopefully they will suggest something to what I'm saying. It started, I think, about 2 or 3 years. Rowley probably signaled to a number of people, hey, I want to get out of this situation because I've done too many wrongs. And it started, and a number of them apparently was vying for leadership, but they fall to the wayside because the rivalry and the backstabbing within the PNM. Let's look at it. You know a fella by the name of Brian? He was positioning himself, the one in San Fernando East. He was positioning himself. He repackaged himself, you know.
Okay.
You understand what he did?
Yes.
He got a right-hand lady who could have become a very attractive first lady. You remember? He tied in not 2 or 3 years now. So that to me is a sign that he has aspiration to be basically the prime minister in waiting also, and all the frills that are attached with it. A good prime minister always have a good lady by his side, or a good lady prime minister have a good gentleman by her side.
Yes.
So that is one of the things. The other two in the race was the small pin and the Poyaman.
Uh-huh.
But the Poyaman get lick up early o'clock when small pin went to the UK authority and he said, look fellas, look the indemnity here. So he lick up one time in the race, so he followed early o'clock. So then it left a smaller amount of people. You had the short man.
Imbert, yes.
Right. No. They throw he under the bus because nobody come to protect him with the finances. The Auditor General started to jam him, and KCR used to jump in front and say the buck stop with me. You realize he had jumped in front of the bus to say the buck stop with him, and then he send him under the bus again with the airport scenario. So he get licked up. He's still trying to recover now. Everything he's saying now, nobody.
Yeah, well, of course, he was effectively removed as being, of course, the
Prime Minister.
And then the acting Prime Minister, and that was polluted. That was conspicuous. And
then all of a sudden, you fell
commonality for all, yeah.
Small pin going everywhere. KCR going left, right, and center. You're going to meet everybody. You understand? So he had his nose in front because he had the endorsement of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But the problem with him, he have baggage, basket, all kind of thing. He have family connection that is basically the Westmoreland issue.
Yeah.
Still to be resolved. That over his head. He was in the same house with all of them, and you could tell me he that. You could tell me this is how them fellas, I used to say, so untruthful. He has the same trait as KCR, like to tell untruths, like to lie.
Yeah.
You could tell me he didn't know when Delcy coming to Trinidad.
Yeah.
So he picked up the lying traits just like the AG.
Yes.
So all of those little data points tell me that this race started long ago, and everybody was positioning itself, everybody backstabbing each other until it reached this position now.
Yes.
And they don't like small pin as the face of the PNM. I've never been that. There was always, as they say, a black, bright fella, Dr. Politics. Right? Eric Rowley, Chambers was a default choice.
Exception to the rule, yeah.
Yeah, because they put pressure on the president.
Yeah.
Just like how they go put pressure on that president to do something, but once the dissidents show their hand, and I hear Felix Alexander say something, he light a fire in front of them, so they don't know what to do now.
Yeah,
so
I want to tell you, and maybe this might be the best time to say it, that I too will be forwarding a letter from my party to the president, asking her to, of course, appoint Kamala Prasad-Bissessar as having regard to what we know the party's position, and therefore, I mean, it can't hurt. It can't hurt.
No,
but of course,
it
will add, of course, to the concerns that there must be a prime minister when, of course, Dr. Rowley leaves, which, of course, he has not indicated exactly what date, but he has given us some kind of working, let's say, dateline or timeline to work with, which we know when it has to be at least at the end of March.
Right. Yeah, I suspect so. But it's amazing how the karma plays its part in politics. You remember Ralph, Romeo, and Ramesh?
Yes.
It's the same thing coming to haunt us again.
Yeah, on Rowley at this point in time. So he may the option he has is to stay right there and then, of course, face the music, because it will have some serious repercussions, and of course the it will add another cog in the destructive path, self-imposed of the PNM at this point in time.
Longer he stays there because you're already throwing the towel.
That's right, exactly. Very, very public. Yeah, very public. Yeah. It's difficult for him now to. He has committed himself.
Manage this country.
Yeah, he has committed himself in such a way that it is very, very, very difficult. It's almost impossible for him to, of course, salvage
any additionality because he has damaged the country, he has damaged the PNM, he has damaged himself.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he's afraid of being shackled.
Yeah, well, that will be the only factor why he may wish to make a right about turn that will further, of course, deepen the interest of the electorate and their tenacity to make sure that he gets out of office, so that where the pendulum swings or where the bullpits fall, he must take it. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
And I want to throw this into the...
A caller, just hold on. We have a caller completing here.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Martin. Go ahead, Martin. No, somebody called.
Yeah. The other thing is I ain't seen nobody put this into the mix. Is there any external factors he negotiating with such that he could demit office and still prevent himself from being shackled by external forces?
Right, so that's a valid consideration as well, because it reminds me of the Warner situation. I remember when I personally had asked Warner if his sons were being detained in the United States, and he said categorically no. He went on, of course, to win the by-elections in Shogunas, and then, of course, all hell break loose soon after, and one thing led to the next. Of course, he's fortunate now that the United States courts have said that United States ought not to get involved, of course, in international private organizations' business. And I think a case was won on that basis, not exactly with respect or coming out of the FIFA matter, but from another perspective. But of course, it has formed now precedent, so he can safely say that he's out of the woods. I'm talking about Warner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me give somebody else a chance.
Yes, thanks. Yes, indeed. Yes, caller. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night again.
Yes, man.
Mr. Sir.
Yes.
Sir Lennox. Lennox, I have two. I need to be educated, right? So I have
no problem, man. No problem. I need to be educated too, so we'll help out each other. Yes.
Two questions and a solution. Yeah, right. So the first one is concerning this let me say this new prime minister that has been appointed. Yes. So what we're trying to say is that at this point in time, this prime minister will be getting a salary also as the actual PM. So he's going out too with he's going to be going out with a salary, even if it's for one day being a prime minister.
Yeah. That is
whatever.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate. So he was prime minister, you see, substantive prime minister, not acting, but substantive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So even if he's a prime minister for one day, he will receive that salary, of pension
benefit,
and everything.
And that at the same time will be part of his pension.
Jesus Christ, that's one of them.
Yes, that's right. Jesus Christ.
My God. Yeah. No, let me ask you a question. So you can always elaborate after the fact.
Yes.
So let me say we're in Parliament now and we have senators. What is an independent senator?
Now, that is not relevant in terms of getting a prime minister. You see,
right? No. I'm not saying that it's a total different genre here.
Yeah,
it's the reason why I'm asking that, because we have the opposition have their on the bench, the leading party or the government has their on the bench, and then we have these independents. Who these independents? Does the independents really is independent? Do they vote?
Oh yes,
and
they
if
vote.
They vote.
They vote.
Do we know who they vote for?
No, especially if it is private ballot, but in the normal voting process in the parliament,
Yes,
is yea or nay, yea or nay. So you know who they vote for under
because
normal, yeah, except where there is a
because
request for secret ballots. But that is how the
right,
process is. Whether in the lower house or the upper house, they say yea or nay. I support
yeah.
or I don't support a particular measure, and of course, depending
But
on the amount.
what I'm trying to put across is that they might be all PNM in there, and they will be voting what they think is supposed to be saying nay.
No,
You understand what I'm saying?
you're quite right. But you
So
see,
we don't.
let me,
So I always believe. Let's no independent, no independent.
you mean
Go
you should
straight
not have
across the
any?
board.
Yeah, yeah.
No, because it does. They have no voice. They have no voice. They have no actions. They have no. They can't sway. I mean, they're swaying by winning, by going across, and thing. But other than that, they don't have no strength.
No. Let's take the procurement. The Procurement Act is an independent senator, one independent senator that caused that to be enacted. You know. Yes,
Hmm?
I say. All
Yeah,
of us know
you understand?
that ought not to be, that act ought, I mean, it's
Right.
detrimental to Trinidad and Tobago. And a single senator voted, and that act was enacted by a single
Yeah.
vote, you know. Yeah, so they
Right.
have the same powers as every other. But they have of course, a club, if you want to call that, a
Yeah.
segment of the Senate, of the senators in the upper house, and they are there on the behest of the president. And we know the president has said in no uncertain terms that she writes and speaks and studies and is connected to the gospel of the PNM. So
Yes, the
you
gospel.
understand,
You're right.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
verse 6 of
yes.
the gospel of the PNM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And my final question now is this: is let me do some solution here now. This is a hot country. We have tourism. Tourism supposed to be right up 100%. But what about the lifeguards on them? I mean, come on. You're going certain beaches, we have no lifeguard, or we going certain beaches that don't have the tools to save anyone, and we trying to get all these different tourists coming into the countries, enjoying the beaches, and we don't have nothing safety mechanism put in place, like them what jet skis for
Yeah.
them, whatever, the boys. I see that now that the new technology come out now, those floating device and them with the rings or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Now they're making them like drones. So if
Right.
you're quite out there, this thing flying out and dropping it in front of you to at least grab on. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a solution that the UNC, the new government coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there, and we should boost up our lifeguards and them now. Put new facilities for them, bring them up to par. Don't leave them in shabby little rundown little drains and think trying to, they're coming out of their bedroom to go and try to save our life and think, no. We reach a stage now, we gotta climb the ladder with them. So that's just a solution that they should look into too. All right?
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
All
Thank you very
right.
much.
So
yes. Yeah.
all right then.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
But I want to say too, as we of course lose that caller, or we disconnect with that, or disengage this caller. The Ministry of Tourism, like the Ministry of Agriculture, like the Ministry of Education, like the Ministry of Sports, like the Ministry of Youth, like the Ministry of did I say agriculture already? Well, of course, the Ministry of Social Development and so on, they all have collapsed under this government. Clearly, they boast of course, an all-of-government approach. So in the case of the issue that he raised there with respect to, of course, persons going to enjoy a day on the beach, and there are no lifeguards, but there is also another defense that is supposed to be there, working in tandem with the lifeguards, and that is, of course, our Coast Guards. But they too are not there either. And why they are not there? Because, of course, the boats that they were supposed to have, with the foresight of Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC, between 2010 and 2015, some 11 Damien vessels, well, they were all but, of course, not just not used, but they were in a state of disrepair for a very long time. Rowley blamed COVID, but COVID was in 2020, not so. And Kamala Prasad Bisasa left the government in 2015. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, almost 5 years. And now you are telling us that you are sending them to Suriname and other places to be repaired. Telling us, of course, in no uncertain terms that our borders have been, of course, exposed and compromised. And inside of that, there was, of course, a very, what I consider to be, it may not have been as technologically equipped as maybe one in the metropolitan country, a typical dockyard for repairs of ships like that of the United States may not be as technologically endowed, but it was there, and it was, of course, up to the time that they close it down or sell it to somebody engaged in that activity. The point I am making is that you could have had homegrown repairs done to these vessels. It would have been much more efficient, much more less costly, and you would have been able, of course, to repair as quickly as possible to get these assets into the waters, into the marine environment, to, of course, protect our borders. Unfortunately, the Rowley administration lapsed with that as well. So that is the reality of Trinidad and Tobago people. So we cannot, of course, identify any area of advancement. It's as if, of course, these people were playing with some kind of dribble, or whose elasticity they depended on. And of course, eventually, as we are seeing now, it has been severed. In other words, it busts. And it has bust spectacularly, because every aspect of Trinidad and Tobago's public life is either teetering on, of course, decadence or the inability to respond to the needs of the nation, for which, of course, the government has a responsibility. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live.
I want to thank you, of course, for that calypso, and I have done what I had to do. Go ahead.
Right, so the calypsonian was singing that song is My Show, eh?
My Show?
Not Cypher.
Oh.
Yeah, My Show sing that song.
No. My Show, you say?
Yeah, it's My Show sing that song. To Serve With Love.
Okay. To Serve With Love. All right, thank you. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I was of the view that it was this
No. My Show.
All right, good. Thanks.
Because
I'm gonna get right. I'm gonna get right eventually. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Because I heard that part and I was sharing it on our live. And when I heard this song the first time, I said, "But who sing that song?" And he tell me it's My Show.
Okay.
And then I said, "But where's the name of that song?" And then he tell me To Serve With Love. And I said, "Boy, that song where that man sing the talk about everything what we going through today."
Yeah, boy.
Everything.
Definitely.
And I said, "Boy, I have to share the song, boy." I said, "But black people sleeping because the man sing about black people in that song."
Well, what we are experiencing today.
Yeah. by sure, these Calypsonians and them is our history to learn what going on because they know when they go on Google to access certain information, like in Trinidad here, they hide it. But what I got to understand, the LLEs are still, if you want to learn certain things that happened in the past with Trinidad and Tobago is concerned, then they say, like, listen to that Calypso, listen to this Calypso. Because if you are going to look, PNM have a way of hiding these things, but the Calypsonians and them gaining the history in the Calypso.
Oh, I see. Yeah, clearly, that is what it is. Yeah.
And even notice too, these radio stations and them do not play these Calypso no more. They don't play it. So the young people today right now totally disconnect from the history of Trinidad and Tobago. And the next thing they need to do they need to start teaching. In fact, that after we do this constitution and start teach it in the school in the near future. And one more thing before I go, Lennox. Rowley is the Prime Minister or he acting as the Prime Minister?
We don't know. He has put Trinidad and Tobago in a tailspin and a political and constitutional conundrum. We just don't know.
Right, so all I have to tell Trinidad and Tobago, fasten all the seatbelts, we for a long ride, and you have to wait until Saturday to see if they go force him for him to step down, or otherwise. Doctor, not listening.
Yes, indeed. I'm trying to get a picture of my show to see what is happening there, because I'm seeing on my show, right. So why am I getting you're quite right, it's my show. I know that Portrait of Trinidad was sung by Sniper, unless I am mistaken as well, but I'm seeing, of course, Sniper against the name of Trinidadian don't know what they want. It might have been a mistake on the part of my own researchers here who probably attached the wrong name to that particular Calypsonian. So it is Maestro, yes, that's a song, of course, the tune that we played earlier. But go ahead, caller. A pleasant good night.
A pleasant good night to the doctor. How are you?
I'm fine, and of course I'm working as assiduously and but smartly as I could.
Yes. I explained that to my grandson today when he came home from school. He vexed too bad.
Yes. Very good. Then those are very good admonitions.
Write them to write a letter and send it to the General Council. And go and sit down in a police station with the 200 for a brave silver bracelet.
I mean.
Oh God, write a letter and go home and do something.
All of us know is that he should do, but remember the man is a criminal.
They call the convention and the convention vote.
Criminals don't like
this. And get Trinidad relief.
Criminals don't like
listen to me, it's Harvard Trinidad. Yeah. With these dum-dum and them.
Yeah.
They be very smart and vote them out a long time. PNM wouldn't be running no part of this country already.
That's right, exactly. Because I mean, when I listened to my show and what he said, that would have been a depiction of what was how the hell the population.
I said to plenty use.
Yeah.
I said plenty use. Should just use that a base cloth. But a bend pin, that I have no use.
Wow. Yeah.
So it doesn't like small pin. He's a bend pin.
A bend pin, yes. Somebody talk about safety pin earlier on. I say he himself can't safety himself far less. So
I don't know what's going on. These people are them they dumb or some kind of thing.
Bunch of nincompoops that have gotten office.
Don't forget what we talk about. Between the 13 and the 15, let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right.
They really and truly are
listening.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Have a pleasant night.
Same to you, my friend. Yes, they are really out of their depth, boy. I mean, Rowley has shown, of course, and I always said that Rowley has an inferiority complex, and what he does is, of course, use aggression as the best form of defense to camouflage and to cover up. So too is Imbert and the others. Hines, can be identified in such a category, but at the end of the day, they are found out, and even when they are found out because of their criminal nature and the embarrassment that it will bring to them, they prefer, of course, to be thrown out rather than, of course, cut their losses and get out. I just don't understand these fellas. They stay there and they know the inevitable will come. They remind me, of course, of some of those leaders in Latin America, the former Panamanian president in particular, where, of course, he had to be escorted out of Panama into a jail in the United States. Talking about, who it is? Nobriga, I believe his name was. But go ahead, caller. A pleasant good night. Noriga. Noriga is his name. Go ahead.
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did come on late, but
Yes.
I was getting fighting up with his weather up here in the snow, man.
Developments taking place, man.
I fight up his weather in the snow up here in Texas.
It is moving at a frenetic pace. You can't keep pace if you can't run good and your mind ain't sturdy. I mean, you just get derailed. Yeah. Hold on, Mr. Tagarigo. I have another caller. Hold on. Yes. Go ahead. Yes, Ken. Yeah.
Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
I'm very I'm very sad today. What they're going to do with all these so what are really Rowley them, what they're going to do with the whole cabinet or the PNM on Saturday? What they're really going to do?
Well, the appointment of Young seem to be in limbo because remember it cannot happen unless the individual gets the majority of the elected representative support in the lower house. So that's the first thing. Now, if that does not happen, it means that Rowley, I can only see Rowley having to stay on because of those of that happening. I ain't seen Rowley resigning and going into the sun at all. Of course, there is an outside chance that the possibility exists that the president, upon her own volition, having regard to what she is seeing, I mean, it's 19 seats the opposition has, and since there's a split among those who ought to be supporting Stuart Young, you have what, 11 on one side and 9 on the other side. Then Kamala would have had at least 18. So she's supposed to be the one to be named as prime minister by the president. That's a long shot, of course, unprecedented. But of course, we are in, of course, times where anything could play at this point in time. The other option, of course, Rowley has is why she's there one time is to call the election date immediately and settle this matter once and for all. It means, therefore, nothing could happen until, of course, until after the next election. And that is how I see it.
So if it go down like this, I just assuming.
Go ahead. Yes,
if it go down.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. What if it go down like this? Like, they come to a conclusion that they vote against it, and he cannot put Stuart Young as a prime minister. Then what happens?
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying, that remember the prime ministership would remain in the hands of Rowley all the while until, of course, that occurs, and the president, of course, sign off on it, saying that she's satisfied that he has, or this individual has, the majority. What we have a situation now, if the situation remains as is, that the only person that could be assured of a majority in the parliament now, in the lower house, is Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand who was the, how come he come to a conclusion with 9 and 11?
Yeah, 9/11. Yeah. And
so who is in 9? Who is in 9 then?
Well, this is what we don't know clearly, but what we are sure of, that there's a 9 that is saying of the 20 seats that are there to support him. There's 9 that is saying that they were ambushed. They weren't clear by Rowley that he was going to remain as leader, and they are saying that they would of the understanding that he was going to resign both as prime minister and as leader of the party simultaneously and immediately, not staying on until September. That's a very long time, you know, in the context of a election year, in the context of a SOE, in the context of the party having to have some kind of internal elections. I mean, it's a shambolic state of affairs created by Rowley, one man alone.
My gut feeling that he created that to see what's going to happen. And if it does not happen, he will stay as prime minister at the end of the term.
Well, yes, and but there's another variable that people put into it. I mean, it whether you want to call it conspiracy, whether you want to call it theory, whether you want to call it, of course, some assumptions, but there may be, you see, because I have been very, very concerned as to what transpired between when Rowley said, for example, that he will only bring CARICOM observers rather than the other international people. So it is clear to me that he wanted to stay. He wanted to contest the elections. What transpired between then and the time he announced that he's going into the sunset with his family. And of course, I believe there is an American factor.
I don't believe not. For me, you know me, I don't believe not much until I see it.
Yeah, I believe there's an American factor because I just intimated something to people with respect to Jack Warner, because he was saying all the time his son was all right, his sons were all right, etc. Only because he wanted, of course, to win the by-elections that came as a consequence of his resignation. And then, of course, it turned out that they were, in fact, detained by the American authorities. Remember, there was a time when, of course, he was delayed back in the United States, and he told us in all certain terms that he never said that he wasn't being investigated. What he said is that, of course, he doesn't have a bank account in the United States, etc., as if anybody asked him that. But, of course, people have a conscience, and sometimes they give information inadvertently because, of course, that subconsciously it is that they have in their mind, and that is what is occurring to them, and therefore they share it with people with unconsciously. Remember it that way.
All right, Mr. Lennox. Let me just tackle for a chance.
Very interesting times. Very interesting times.
Yeah, well, I was very interested. I'm very curious about that, because I still have some questionable thing, what I mean.
Yeah. So number unanswered. It is amorphous, but of course there are some clear paths that we can, of course, identify and examine and comment upon. But let's see. Saturday there is a General Council meeting, and let's see what's happening, because there are those who are strident that the General Council must be morphed into, of course, a convention, which is the highest forum in the party, and the question of course, people not understanding that Rowley was resigning only as prime minister, but not as leader of the party, and would, of course, wait until September, all of that, because he gave a date as well, the ending of September, so we know that it can't go beyond, but it can't go into September, October, it can't go into October. So all of those things that we have to look at, and knowing Rowley's wildness and his deceptions, all of which may not be true until, of course, he's confronted to take action, and we don't know what action he will take, except that he's still the prime minister.
Well, right now we only could do extrapolate. That's all we could do.
Yeah, that's what we could do. Speculate. That's right. All right, my friend. I'll see you then.
Or extrapolate.
Yes, I'll see you.
I've tried to make words like you.
Yeah. But I am sticking to my 39 seats for UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa, having regard to the shambolic state of affairs. All right.
All right.
Okay. Bye. President Knight, welcome. Sorry about
good night, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, sorry about that.
And good night to everybody who's on the live.
Yes.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Lennox, I don't know if you're aware that tomorrow is the inauguration of Maduro. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know that the lock up the opposition, the lock up the opposition leader today, but they'll not releasing her. Right. So you know something brewing.
Yeah, something is brewing. Something is brewing because the advent of Donald Trump coming. And I think it has repercussions right here in Trinidad. Some of which
that's right.
is just up in the air. We have to speculate because we are not getting, of course, solid information. But we have our own views as to what is happening. We are getting from different sources, and depending on who you talk to, of course, you will have to formulate and put this jigsaw together as best we can. Yeah.
Listen, Mr. Lennox. My personal belief, right? Just my opinion.
Go ahead.
Right? It's just a mere suspicion.
Yeah.
That Rowley looking for getaway car, right? Because you know for certain is lock-up time.
Yeah.
Because that gas still had it in Venezuela, right? You know that ain't gonna happen. That is definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
And Stuart Young, and because remember they're heavily involved, and remember Stuart Young always in Venezuela. We don't know what transpired in Venezuela with Stuart Young and the Prime Minister, especially Stuart Young going backward and forward. We don't know what kind of deals they make.
Yeah.
Okay, we will only know the truth.
We will. You know, at one time I was saying all man for themselves at the ending of the term of this government. Well, of course, that is manifesting, that is unfolding as we speak, because I said 2024 would be, of course, a long, hot 2024. Remember, that was my refrain. You know, it has come to an end. But the thing about it is that why would Stuart Young want to be a fall guy for Rowley? That's another issue. If we go take the rap for him,
that's right.
Yeah.
Listen, man, this country elected clowns and give them the headmaster seat, you know. This is really what's going on in this country, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
a bunch of clowns.
Yeah, listen, we pay the price right now for a bunch of misfits, you know.
Yeah.
A set of incompetent people, you know.
Well, boy, I am concerned about our regional and international image and how we are going to, of course, emerge out of this. Certainly, we will not emerge unscathed, and a lot of course, repair work has to be done. So, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar will have and the UNC will have a tremendous job to, of course, re-establishing the significance of Trinidad and Tobago as a hegemonious entity in Caribbean affairs and hemispheric affairs in particular. But we'll see how it works out.
One more thing before I go, Mr. Lewis. Now, the question is, how much money does this country really have? I mean, we hear that we are broke, which I believe we are actually broke, right? But, I mean, this one has taken us down a road, right, to almost to the point of no return.
Yeah. Well, at least we have some reserves, $4 billion, five. Some say 5, some say 6. We have that. We have, of course, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, but that won't take us far.
We don't know the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, Mr. Lennox, because the last time I heard that they went in there 10 times, you know.
Well,
some
of the information we don't know. You're quite right. So it may well be that we are broken, and that is why they're so desperate for property tax and hoping that somehow oil prices and gas prices and the petrochemical industry picks up.
Yes, industry. Look how much companies going out of this country.
Yeah. It's incompetence and criminal behavior in public office.
When Rowley and them came into office, before they came into office, I remember well, and I remember that since in during the course of the campaign from 2010 to 2015, when Rowley was campaigning, and I was asking myself, how Rowley getting all this media coverage, right? And I was saying, but wait now, who paying for that? Yeah. So I was asking myself, you know.
They have abused their office, and of course, I think the lasting monument to symbolize or to embolize the entire thing is that Balize House. I mean, come on, that is pathetic. That is, of course, macabre. I mean, it is exploitative to the ultimate degree. it's impossible for them to be able to build that under normal circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Mr. Listener, I firmly believe them fellas come with the intention. Them willfully and intentionally came there to thief out this country.
I have concluded that as well. When you look at Rowley's public life, everywhere he went, whether it be at the national quarries, he started there. Always bubble, some kind of bubble.
Then in Tobago, remember they say gravel walk from one place from the hospital and end up somewhere by his place. So I hear.
Quite apart from the
all these kind of accusations.
Yeah, long before that. Pleasant good night. Hold on. I just want to finish with this caller here. All right.
And then this Inez Gate issue.
Yeah.
And then the former where I tried to look. Let me go. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the person in now.
Call back if you have some people waiting.
Yes. Right? Yes. Okay then. Yeah. Okay, God bless. Okay.
All right. Sorry about that, caller. Mr. Faizabad, go ahead. A pleasant good night.
A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and all the listeners on the live stream.
Mr. Tiger, we go hold on. You can hold on.
Okay, hold on. That's all. Take your call.
All right, okay. Mr. Faizabad say he will hold on and give way to you. So go ahead, Mr.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Tiger.
Right. To show his love for the great motion picture with Sidney Poitier.
Right, yes.
He was a school teacher in the movie.
I saw that one. I know that. The big tears to your eyes, yeah.
Yeah. And I can't remember the name of the girl who made this song. Right now, but they make it specially for that movie.
Right, yes.
I never hear my show sing that song.
But he named it that, but it was really instructions. I will play it in a while, so you will get an appreciation. I started with it. So,
but you know the movie with Sidney Poitier, right?
Yeah. Huh?
I say you know that movie with Sidney Poitier?
Yeah, I know that one for sure. Yeah. That was
that was a great movie, boy.
Yeah. A beautiful movie. It shows where people, and that is something that whether I am influenced by that movie or a natural inclination I have, but I understand very well to take people from a situation where, of course, they are down and out. I remember when I was teaching in primary school, I was teaching at Piccadilly Government, and it's the most depressed of the depressed.
Right.
I will take these kids and with the consent of their parents, of course, and have them spend a day at my home in Parsley Street, and the things that they will do, and then. And the stories they will tell you, it's heart-rendering, heart-wrenching. And, when they get a nice big space, because my house is pretty big, and they will run through it and all of that and so on. And you could see that there is an absence of that kind of comfort. And they feel so comfortable. And I remember as well that every month end, I will treat the class with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Everybody, 30-something of them are buying 30-something box at Kentucky just now for my money. But listen, the only time they could get it is if the slowest person in the class passed my end of month test. But even if the person didn't pass, I say in the past because everybody of course coalescing now and the brighter ones are teaching the ones that are slower, because of course you would know the people who can cope with the work and so on. And it was a synergy and a symbiotic relationship that I have never if I wasn't involved, I would have never known that existed. And boy oh boy. And even to today, some of them will say, Mr. Smith, I remember in the class when you wanted to tell us about the astronaut, you tell us, after the astronaut and the astronaut. And I could never forget that, Mr. Smith, even though I went through my secondary system and now I'm a tradesperson and so on. So these kinds of, let's say, initiatives, you feel good as a person to know that you have you have been able to make an intervention in these young people's life who otherwise potentially would have, of course, gone away, end up in a gang, gun, crime, jail, and so on and so forth. I thought I should just say that based on what you just mentioned. But go ahead.
That movie must have really been a great inspiration.
Yeah. Telling you. Yeah, I cried when I saw it because it was moving, of course, young people from, desperate, abject poverty. Their attitude was stink, and here it is. By the time we ended the program, they were transformed. And I'm gonna give some what I consider to be testimonials. When we had MLIO at its peak between 1984 and about 2000, you will feel that these kids are living in a different world, and these are measures that can be taken very easily, because if I could do it on my own, the government can, but of course these PNM people, they believe that them alone have the solution, and it always turns out invariably that they crash the entire system and they make it worse, and so of course somebody else has to come and clean it up, which of course in this case is Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. And I am prepared, of course, to even volunteer to, of course, assist in that regard. There is no one who could, of course, deal with young people of the type that picking up gun, engage in crime, etc., than a person like myself in terms of the prophylactic approach. I have no doubt in my mind, and anybody doubting me, they must be able, of course, to come and prove how much those youths they have been engaged in and what programs they would have created in order, of course, to deliberately change their minds away from, of course, a life of crime as a real possibility, but they have stayed away from that because of your intervention. And in this case, I'm talking about my intervention. I like Cassius Clay. I will tell you what I could do, and no one could doubt me. Go ahead, my friend.
So when you watch that movie, you see yourself in action.
Yeah, definitely. And now that you regurgitated it since yesterday, of course, to serve with love. That is what I was. That's why I paid some attention to it, and I, of course, edited it in such a way so as to, be relevant to what we are talking about now in Trinidad and Tobago.
I went to see a fellow today in Cuba now. And he told me when he's professional in motor car and thing.
Yes, okay.
Say, boy, I used to go to UVD and do my thing free. Try to further himself now.
Right.
I have to pay a big set of money. I said, look, you don't have a profession already. I know where you want to be again, but if you find out to pay too much money, forget. Yeah. And stick to what you have. Mm-hmm. But that is up to you, you can't change your man's mind.
Yeah, of course, if you have a desire, it's one that is ambitious, the society will commend you for it, and that's it. I remember when a United Nations representative came down, because we had a sort of exhibition of trade schools, vocational schools, and there was a sort of a trade show, where of course they were exhibiting their skills and so on. And the guy asked the question in the presence of one of the senior person in the vocational system in the Ministry of Education, and he asked the simple question: what would be the first thing that, let's say, a fellow who wants to learn, let's say, electronics, what would you say is the first thing must happen? So the fella, the ministry representative, he went on to say, well, he has to have maths, he has to have, of course, idea of geometry and some other thing. But I told him and tell him no. I say, what you have to have is a desire, an aptitude, a willingness, an urge to learn.
That's right. If you
and that does not require maths as we know it, geometry and so on. That part of maths, as it is called, arithmetic in particular, if it's that part of maths that you have to learn, or geometry, or algebra, well, then of course you learn that part of it and get on with your business. But the first thing, you will naturally gravitate to it and educate yourself because you have a desire and an inward hunger, so to speak, to be an electrician. The man in front of me, tell the man, I agree with you, Mr. Smith. Yeah, tell him that. I'm sure he felt, I can't remember his name now, but he has long retired, so I figured I could call his name now because normally I wouldn't want to embarrass him. I think his name was Bess or something like that. A senior person, of course, in the Ministry of Education at the time for vocational skills and training. Yeah.
A man has to know himself, Lennox.
Of course.
You must know yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I had a cousin, he get fed up in school, right?
Uh-huh.
He wasn't academically inclined.
Right.
And he tell the uncle, he said, look, I don't want to go to school again.
Right.
And you say, what you want? In the back of them comic book long time,
Yeah.
used to have them jukebox.
Right.
With nice records inside. He said, I want to bring down some jukebox.
Right.
I said, we will start up at 25.
Right.
And you see all the jukebox in Trinidad, Lennox?
Yeah.
He put them down all over the country.
Well, you see? Yeah, there are opportunities there. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I went to the Guardian sometime because I know I regularly used to visit because I want to give instrument press release. I want to tell them the latest that's happening in Laventille, of course, and the trade school and other social intervention. Bram, I meet this young man sitting down at the desk, and of course, clearly an employee of the establishment. Right, because he's walking in and out and he's going through offices that I am not permitted to walk through. So I know that he's so I said, listen, how you get here? Because I know that you were doing mechanic in MLIO, and of course you were supposed to be training at PTSC because we give them, of course, on the job training experience afterwards with a little stipend to go with it from the institution. We brought them on board as well in that way. You know what that man tell me? He said, listen, Mr. Smith, whilst I was at PTSC, somebody came and was talking about career in, of course, in journalism, and in particular, of course, he does those drawings and so on, those comic drawings. And he said, Mr. Smith, I tell him, listen, I want to participate, and he went, and here am I. I say, wow. You see, life is not a straight, linear, of course, path. Sometimes you have, all the time you have twists and turns. You don't know where you will end up. Take, for instance, me. I never thought I would end up on a program like the Ground Report, for example.
Right.
Yeah, but
you have to make your own decisions.
Yeah, but life brings opportunity, and of course, you now have to make use of them or decide to discard and go do something else. But to do, you must do in order to survive, because it's about survival. It's about the dollars and cents.
You have to like what you're doing, Lennox.
Of course. That is the first thing. You have to take for instance, nobody tells me to do this. I don't get paid for this. This is my money. All the equipment here is my money. I'll beg somebody to fix to me, and that's all part of the experience, because you want to make certain that you are able, because the content part, I have it in my head, or I could find the information because it's very easy depending on the topic. But you have to have equipment for us to be able to talk, whether it's a phone, whether it's the camera, whether it's of course the computer towers, etc. And if you come in my studio now, you will see, of course, a true mini studio, lights and everything. Lights and everything you have to cater for, because you wouldn't be able to see me if I'm in the dark. So therefore, you have to put in a certain type of light. You have to work with So it is but it's because I want to do it, because I love Laventille in particular so much that I feel that this is the medium that I never had and could not have had, and now that we have it, then I must make use of it. I probably the only one in the whole of Trinidad, maybe that is doing this only for the East-West corridor and in particular Laventille. The only one.
So there's a star boy on your program and there was a star boy on the screen which is so with love.
Yes, man. So that's how it is. Yeah. Yeah. People, of course, don't be annoyed because I'm talking in this way. But if I am not engaged, and unlike you, people would know. And therefore, of course, more knowledge is gleaned that way when people have discussion. That is why you have in scientific, in the scientific field, you have what is called peer review, where, of course, people who are interested in the same subject, they review, of course, your discovery, your analysis, your data, and so on. And then, of course, they may want to make an input. They too may glean from it. And so, of course, what happens is that there's an advancement in the particular profession, and the players, the actors, they too, of course, benefit from it, and humankind, as a consequence, is advanced as a result. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Welcome to the corridor. Good night to you again, Mr. Lennox, and all your listeners.
Yes. Welcome to you as well.
So, Mr. Lennox.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you two little questions tonight.
Yes.
Why you doesn't recognize the Constitution in the both places? Why? Tell me why you can't respect the Constitution in the both places. The one that governs you to be what you are, to become a prime minister. And then when you become a prime minister, the one that governs you to tell you how you have to present yourself. Why, Mr. Lennox?
Well, it is clear.
Yeah?
It is clear that if you are a rapscallion, if you are a ne'er-do-well, if you are a conceited, disrespectful, and dishonest individual with criminal attitude and intent, then of course that disrespect will naturally come, because it is not a genuine position, and it's not what the situation would require, because the legislation or the constitutions never contemplated such immoral characters to be operating in the space for which that document might have been created, or documents might have been created. I don't talk.
No, we don't talk yet, wait. Don't run yet. No. Yeah, so fully understand. And I will ask you this now again. And when you are governed, just as your conversation earlier on, is it that you get so complacent, bullying everybody around you to have your way, and you push it down their throat, and you tell them take bamboo, and they use honey goat weed to take a hard stand?
Well, such an individual, as I've described earlier, in such a situation, always have camouflage and excuse. There always is some kind of incognito, some kind of a hidden agenda scenario, because they know for a fact that they are doing wrong, that they are unjust, but they are pursuing it anyway. And somehow they believe that they will, of course, get away with it. We saw that from Hitler, we saw that from Mussolini, we saw that from Saddam Hussein, and we saw that from Gaddafi. And of course, I think he's still alive. We're talking about the Zimbabwean former, of course, President Robert Mugabe.
No, I think he did.
He died? All right, okay, right.
Yeah, I think so. At 90 something. I think so. Okay. I started to be correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has died.
So,
yeah.
So you now,
well,
right?
I had to say that, well, I wanted a living person, so I had to say Maduro. Of Venezuela then. Yes, okay.
You know, but I got you use Mugabe too. So, what you know, right? You tell yourself you're on top. And for 9 years, you put in this show together.
Mm-hmm.
You tell yourself you could hoodwink everybody.
Yeah.
But you didn't realize that the supporters, that it has some called the background supporters.
Mm-hmm.
You're running from big stone and spit and pelt and embarrassing word.
What did you help me with for the whole of 2024? And we say 2024 will be a long, hot summer for the PNM and Rowley, and that in his last days he will see, of course, all of the Zandolis and those who he believed who know that he's doing wrong will suddenly, of course, rise up and out and, of course, devour him. Well, of course, that time has come.
Right. And if it's one thing, I like how you say it today, and you remember it. So now, he tell himself, he went one step too far, but he didn't realize what old people say. Why you past your meter yet?
That's right, my friend. Well said.
So he tell himself that the supporters of them, they're black, he had them in the pocket, but he didn't realize for 9 years how you treat them like dog. But when coming to the convention and picking a leader in their party, that and the Bible, it go hand in hand. Yeah. They treat it with care. So now I want to see wind out it. And I want to see how he's going to rig this one. Because they like to rig thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fabricate.
He could no longer tell him, watch, I have the panacea for, of course, winning. And of course that panacea was always something that was devilish. It was underhanded. It was illegal. It was what we know now to be treasonous. All of that. He's prepared to do that. And there are those who have now turned their backs on him because they know that his methodology, it is not unorthodox. It is illegal. So they know that. So therefore, many of them don't want that because they have to live here after him. He is in his 80s or so. By now,
76.
All right, good. So it means therefore he is in the twilight zone, but they are now rising stars or rising sun or early morning elements, and therefore their career is ahead of them. And to live in Trinidad and Tobago under that kind of sinful experience, they had to, of course, repent. And the repentance process, they are now in purgatory, so to speak. They are now, of course, making certain that they redeem themselves, whilst, of course, Rowley go hell-mel to hell on a gasoline-soaked paper bag. That's how I see it. They must do it. They must do it because, I mean, this has been an evil trip that Rowley has taken us on. Talking us here, meaning the population. And, of course, they and the PNM are not stupid, but they will go for the ride because of 30 pieces of silver. That has now come to a crashing end. And so, of course, Rowley will find himself, like the cheese, standing alone because nobody will countenance that simply because it is the end and election is nigh and inevitable.
So the only way now for he to wind out of that and to get out of it, you either have to play mad, take some feces and rub it all on the head and in the face.
Or do like Hitler. Do like Hitler. Hitler did it. So I see why he can't do it.
Because the only way now the president can elect a new prime minister is if he mad, the president one mad, or he incompetent. But I know he incompetent because he using honey goat weed too much and he like to boast about it.
Well, as you say, honey goat weed, I would like at this point to really commend the Tobago people for opening up Trinidad's eyes as to who Rowley really is and the fact that he has abused his office and attempted to generate a narrative that he is infallible and that he could say what he wants and that he could criticize persons who are equal like him, because remember, every parliamentarian is equal because everybody would have gotten there as a consequence of their constituents voting for them. And to, of course, to say that you are superior to another one only because you want to have your teeth in ways and you are not, and you don't want to account it to the people, well, of course, the thing has come full circle, and now he is absolutely and totally exposed with no buttress to rely upon. And that is good, because it's damn good for him. But of course, the entire PNM edifice must also be not just decimated, but as I've often said, relegated to the dustbin of history, because nothing good could come out of that entity for Trinidad and Tobago. It is too set in its ways. And the people therein will always pursue that course of action simply because of their attitude to, of course, gain power, manipulate the resources of the country in their friends, family, and financiers' interests, and leave, of course, those who they claim and, of course, have created what we call a voter bank, leave them in the doldrums and in total bewilderment as to how these people, having said what they said, could do us that. That is what is happening in Laventille. That is what is happening in the Beatum. That is what's happening in Seadots, and etc. And people are watching. So I want to thank Tobago for that, because he came from there and they rejected him outright. And Trinidad must also do the same. So all 39 seats in Trinidad must be dedicated to Kamala Prasad Bisesa and whatever configuration of the UNC in memory of this scenario that must never again happen in Trinidad and Tobago.
And I would like to thank the Tobagonians and all too for taking that great stand. And the supporters of the PNM, the grassroots, who put them there and always putting them in power, that they show them now to take a stand through your educated platform, where you educated them and showing them that they have the power to move a man like a dictator like Pete Rowley, who is a fella who like to interfere with underage children.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
And
Apart from that, you're blasted rapist and pedophile, but he is my leader. He is all your leader. Well, I will represent all you in this scenario and say he can't be no leader for all you, far less for me, and for all of Trinidad and Tobago. I will take on that responsibility.
So I will leave you with this one.
Go ahead.
And the listeners. The only metal that could recycle and remain the same, like the PNM, is lead. Lead is the only metal. You can recycle it anyhow. Boil it how much, do it in any shape or fashion. It will remain lead when it is melted and mold. It will have its own same quality. So no matter who you put in the PNM, there will always be the thieving, taxing, lying bunch of greedy heads. Have a pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Thank you very much for that intervention, and that, of course, that beautiful, of course, maxim at the end there. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Yes.
Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
There is only one Lennox Smith, you know.
I hear you, my friend.
You heard what I'm saying, right?
Yes,
only one Lennox.
Only one Lennox, but that's
and he's actually on the button tonight. Here's what I want to say.
Go ahead.
Right? The Prime Minister, being so cynical in all his endeavors, has done something that actually showed him up the deceptiveness with all that fabrication that took place in Tobago. And if you would take into account and try to see if you could comb through that whole situation with a fine teeth comb. Right? 10, 11, 11 to 9.
Yeah.
What would you think would have been the outcome if it was 10-10?
Well,
no, you see, to me,
he would have thrown his hat in the ring, even though he said that he was abstaining. He would have a casting vote. He'd have said, I have a casting vote. His dictatorial, arbitrary character would have prevailed then.
You see, the margin for error is so close.
Yeah.
That it's unbelievable that there was any sincerity within that that whole fabrication. If you understand what I'm saying.
But how he said it. He said it. Remember, he said 50 plus 1. He got the majority, 50 plus 1. That's how he said it. He comes up with these, what I consider to be semantics, in order to bamboozle and to, of course, at the same time, not hold himself accountable. So he said 50 plus 1. So he has defined what the majority is. But at the same time telling us that it was a close shave. You know?
Well, yet again, he's trying to play smart with foolishness,
That's right? That is exactly
because
what he's doing. Yeah.
If you're going to take 1.4 million people and make them fools, well then you're just wasting your time, because not everyone is stupid, right?
That's right, exactly. In fact, the vast majority are smart, but but a man is given time. There was I can't remember his book. I think he was a priest though. That's the guy who said that when the Jews were being persecuted, they came for the first neighbor, and no one, of course, went to the person's rescue, and then eventually they came for him, and when he looked around, there was no one to come to advocate for him, and he said, in addition to that, listen, bright people, Germans are very bright people, and here it is, they were able to have Hitler, just simply turn the brain into some kind of piwa, and find themselves being the most hated residents or citizens in the world. That triggered, of course, the Second World War. So, I thought I should, mention that to show how people eventually are hoodwinked and deceived by that. I suppose in the case of Rowley, apart from his doctorate and his braggadocio, I think the way how he would have spread that 30 pieces of silver among them, they probably got caught up, and eventually realizing, I'm sure some of them, when they pause in the night,
that's right,
would know that there is a price to pay. Price to pay at the expense of the rest of us. But go ahead. Hello? I seem to have lost him. All right. Well, people, of course, let me go back, of course, to what. Oh, are you there? We had a little.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. We are. Sorry. I thought you had left us. Go ahead.
All right. With your past experience, right?
Mm.
Being in several strategic positions, right?
Yes.
How you see this whole situation unfolding? Do you think that there's going to be some great level of repercussion coming from within that realm that will cause a serious problem for them going forward? Because I was listening to Baptiste Primus, or whatever she names, right? Mm-hmm. She was a past member of Manning's government, and the sort of light that she was shedding over the situation, it seems like it will have some serious implosion and explosion. So if you could share some information based on that going forward, how you think as an individual, because of your experience, how you think things will turn out for the PNM. Thank you, and have a blessed night.
Yes, same to you, my friend. Well, I want to say that first and foremost, if I have to look, I'm looking at the conclusion first. I will not be surprised if Rowley maintains the prime ministerial position. I wouldn't be surprised. If of course he is unable to get his way in terms of having his of course choice to replace him, because let's face it, he didn't have to do that, but he made it clear the only repercussions, and he has been there before. He will not be phased in any way. He will come frontos, ablum, without any shame, any compunction, and say, listen, we have not been able to settle it. I thought that could have happened, so therefore I have to retain the prime ministerial position. He will then, of course, go into probably the convention, knowing full well, or he might well resign when he would have called the date for the elections. I think he will maintain for sure that he's not going to contest. So that will take him out of the embarrassment that he would have otherwise have to or risk and or undergo. And then, of course, he will also, of course, demit the leadership of the party as well, right? And let the chips fall where they may, because, of course, certainly Young will not be credible and an acceptable alternative. I think Penelope Beckles may be a better choice. And only this morning I spoke about two newspaper articles in both constituencies, that of coming out from those constituencies, that of Stuart Young and that of Beckles, and it's very interesting. But I will take this call before, of course, I go further. A pleasant good night.
Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night again,
yes.
Lennox. Lennox,
yes.
I want to ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
In your field, in your capacity of a field of being a teacher, and in the past, is that the former, the prime minister still say that they didn't build so much and so much of schools, and the UNC came out and told them they build 100 and something schools.
Yeah.
So I want to know, for Andy and then in the morning for the ground report, I giving you your assignment now. Make a list of all the wrongdoings of this Scorpion man, and let him make a list and recite it for Andy to remember all these things, all these troubles that this man do to me. And let remind the people of all the negative things that this PNM, not the man, the PNM, because right now we are geared to start getting rid of them.
Yes.
We ain't studying Rowley again. We're studying the PNM. We're moving forward. So let me see if we can make a list. So we have a long list of this thing here now, so we can move forward. So we go have 500 problems for this man. This PNM do to we. So we can present it to let people know why it is we have to change this government. All right, good night and have a pleasant good night.
But I want to say two things though, that you are asking me to respond to what I consider a rhetorical question, because you and all can come up with a multitude of things, a monolithic number of things, like any one of you watching now and will be viewing and will be subjected, of course, to that request of yours. Whether tomorrow morning, whether next day, as the case may be. So I think it is something that all of us know. The answers, the answers, the multiple answers, the manifold answers, the many answers. Clearly, all of us know. There's no need for me to put a list together. Most of us can get it out of our head in one session. I thought you were going to ask me, of course, to prove that the schools were in fact built, and I use the word in fact because they were in fact built, and or in different stages of completion. and I have the whole list. So tomorrow night, of course, I will run it for you again, all of them, 106 of them. And of course, I'm going to link it with the former Minister of Education, who would, of course, but the names of the schools are within the video itself, so you can confirm for yourself, and you yourself can go and check if because it has been all over the country, meaning that the construction of these schools has been all over so there may be one close to you that you can go and verify that would have been left in fallow. So many of them I've seen a total waste of financial resources, waste of potential human resources, because it means therefore the children could have been there, teachers could have been, of course, teaching, and more, of course, persons could have been on their way, or in fact, because of the presence of the schools, have a job in order, of course, to earn a living and to survive in this environment. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night again.
Yes.
You found out anything about the PTSD business?
No. The PTSD, remind me, because
remember they say somebody had called in and said that it was going to Massey.
Oh yeah. Somebody said that, but we have no information. I asked my colleagues as well, but I said what I'm going to do in situations like this, where the information is either difficult to get, and out of an abundance of caution, I will do freedom of information request. Ministry of Works.
Remember that Saturday night, Miss Valentine had called.
Yeah.
And spoke about the devil.
Yeah.
Well, now remember, the old people used to tell you, don't hang your hat where you can't reach it.
That's right. Yes.
This fella went and interfered with the wrong thing, and when you had to pay back the devil, you had to pay in more than one.
Yeah, well,
you see what?
That man make me believe in superstition. He make me believe. I'm telling you, I didn't believe it before. I mean, I am a convert. This man make me believe that.
He have to pay, you have to pay daily for that, because when he went Lico too.
Yeah.
Right? You see, he start paying for it.
Yeah. That's right. You see it unfolding on a daily basis. Everything crashes.
All right. Remember, there's the next thing. The SOFA signing, the state of force agreement.
Yeah.
Right. Remember, Maduro sent some stupid talk to the CARICOM islands.
Yes.
Now remember, the Americans could put troops here anytime, but with any conflict.
Yes.
And when Maduro started stupidness again.
Yeah,
but anyhow,
I'll check up on it, because I hear he has
a spade is a spade. As we just say, a spade is a spade, a horse is a horse, and an ass is an ass.
That's right. And
right?
In this case,
right, so I'm going to leave you there with that one.
Rowley and they are double asses.
Right?
All right, I hear you.
All right, have a good night.
Same to you. People, of course, it's already 10:09. So let me, of course, just conclude with this piece of music that represents the reality of Trinidad and Tobago today, but it was sung and written in a setting where Eric Williams was dominant. So that's to tell you. Let me take this last call. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, good night once more against Lennox. Yes. I wouldn't be long.
Okay.
Listen now. I just saw on Facebook there where Venezuelans and them speaking about Keith Rowley, and what they are saying is that the Americans and them, they are coming for Maduro, and they said the first man to get locked up apart from Maduro is Rowley. It's on Facebook now. Check it out. I go on. God bless.
I simply couldn't find what transpired, as I said, between when Rowley said that he will only have CARICOM suggesting that he will be going back up, and the other initiatives, such as, of course, the postponement of the internal elections. What transpired between then and his announcement? It couldn't be the SOE. so something else. And of course, I did indicate that it might be something with the Americans. So
yes,
if that
check it out. It's on Facebook now.
I'm going to treat with it. I'm going to go further. I'm going to stay up all night and research it properly so I could say something about
research it
tomorrow
properly.
on
Yes.
the ground report. All right.
Okay then. God bless Mr. Lennox. Okay.
Thanks to you as well for that piece of information. Let's go straight, of course, to, of course, my show, as he, of course, tell us then, singing then, what we are experiencing now.
In small factory and mighty industry, employ only their friends and family. They will feature my picture in their advertisement only to give the Afro buyer encouragement. But check their place of business and see. If you see three darky, well, you see plenty. Now 99% of who buying are of Afro origin, but they employing black and chicken. Although it's my money they're banking, we broken down whole car and we campaign for you. You say who could buy car, could pay purchase tax too. And while you're talking this foolishness, you're driving wrong in a big black Austin Princess.
Calypso.
Unfair, you hear? We ain't getting nowhere. I make you boss. Instead again I lost. Now the bank ain't lending me the money at all. They saying how I have any collateral. Your opponents would get all they want, while your faithful supporters stay on this front.
People, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Have a wonderful rest of the night. And don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report is Friday, so no corridor tomorrow night. But, of course, ground report in the morning. Andy, Michael, and myself from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, of course, on Facebook and YouTube, as well as from around 7 o'clock. We have, of course, Gael Caribbean, where we keep in contact with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. Continue to listen, of course, to my show, singing then what is happening today. Under the PNM, of course.
Very slowly, you're killing me softly. So crude, no food, outright ingratitude. We give you a fighting chance for 18 years, and all we get in return is blood, sweat, and tears. Now everywhere your rivals are share, and under your reign they pay millionaires. You watch as advantage is being taken on your supporters in the land. We keep supporting and getting nothing, while millions going from hand to hand. Tired, retired old-timers going from job to job. Young, strong teenagers on corners hustling for bob. I do not rap to trap anyone. I just singing a song on what really going on.
I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office.
Since you take over as Prime Minister, it's plenty pressure. We have to suffer, and you will do nothing better. Rowley really have to go. Oh, Rowley really have to go. Oh, Rowley really have to go. Since you come in power, you is a big failure. Collapse the economy and do nothing for we. What you have to show, we don't really know. What you have to show, we don't really know.
I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office. I will not be offering myself again. I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office. I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will resign this office.
I've done the unorthodox. I'll have to take this call because this is Nunez. A pleasant good night, Nunez.
Lennox.
Yeah, good night.
Yes.
We are finishing off. But I interrupted the ending to accommodate you because I think you are a significant player. You are moving, of course, cyclopedia in terms of national issues, and I thought I should preempt.
Yeah, well,
and then just
I sent you a message.
Oh,
I sent you a message.
All right.
Good. I sent you a message.
Okay.
Telling you what I know about Gary Aboud. Kingsley don't know.
Is what?
Since 1989.
All right.
There are things I know about Gary Aboud since 1989.
Oh, I see.
That Kingsley don't know.
Oh, that Kingsley don't know. What you want to do? You want to. I'll be back on Saturday night.
Huh?
I'll be back on Saturday night, but I will look at the material that you sent, and I'll try to, of course, air it tomorrow on the ground report. But I'll call you, or I don't know if I'll be able to call you, but if you could contact us Saturday night when I resume, because tomorrow night is my night off.
Oh, well, yeah, I know you're going dancing.
Yes, I'm going dancing. All right, so I will look at the material. I'll talk about it tomorrow morning on the corridor.
No,
and
well,
Saturday night
what you could do is to tell Andy to call me in the morning.
Oh, yes, good. I'll tell Andy to call you. That is a compromise.
Right?
All right, yes, no
So
problem.
I will
I'll look at
put
it as soon
an
as
end to Kingsley and Gary Aboud.
All right, good.
I know Gary Aboud.
All right, my friend.
Right?
Because he tried to make me...
Good, and I could tell you...
He's asking me to apologize to him for my speaking the truth about what he has said.
I will fix it.
That is a madman approach.
I'll just give you a little idea. I will give you an idea.
Go ahead.
When we were building, well, I got the land. That's where Movie Tongue is now.
Right.
Right? Where we constructed the Mecca.
Yes.
Gary and a woman called Molly
Gaskin.
Gaskin, yeah, I remember that name.
And
yes.
Yeah, and another one called Kenny something.
Okay.
He used to have a racehorse something. He was in charge of rent to kill. Right?
Right.
Good. So they were attacking us because I got that piece of land.
Okay.
Through Carson Charles when the Prime Minister, which is A.N.R. Robinson,
right.
When the matter came up for us to get the land,
right.
Anthony Smart say Monroe mustn't get no land by the beach, by the sea, because he involved in drugs.
Oh,
I know that whole thing.
All right.
Understand?
Well, leave it for tomorrow. Leave it for tomorrow and on Saturday night. All right? It's already 22 minutes past.
No, yeah, but I want it on the ground report, you see.
Yeah. So I'll get it on the ground report. We'll talk tomorrow. I'll have Andy call you tomorrow. All right?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Let Andy. So
I'll have my own interview with you on Saturday. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Yeah. No problem.
And all the best to you and your family. All the best to you and your family at the same time.
All right.
Yes. Bye-bye.
You too. Well, it's the best of health, happiness, and some wealth.
Yes.
For 2025 and beyond.
Wealth is important. I have everything else except wealth.
Of course.
All right, my friend.
Of course.
Yes, indeed. Let's get back to that.
Rowley must go! 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 Rowley must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force.
Limits.
Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
I will not be offering myself before the end of the legal limits of this term. I will resign this office. I will not be offering myself again.
Everyone's coming out to bring about a change. I see young and old, we crying out for this. Yeah, want a government to feel policy, a government to do joke, a government to do fight freedom, a government to do work, a government with integrity. Now look how they understand. A government to city and team, know without the bullet man everybody. PNM must go. Tell them go. PNM must go.